And for a little help with that, let's bring in the money men, business and market analyst and NewsMax contributor, Seth Denson, and America's accountant, Professor Dan Geltrude. Good morning, gentlemen. Happy Saturday to you.
Hey, good morning, Allie.
Morning, Dan.
All right. So as you heard earlier in the show, we've been talking about this December jobs report, right? Not living up to expectations. The U.S. adding less than 200,000 jobs. The Labor Department saying that's the lowest amount for the year and a half of what was projected. But Seth, President, obviously didn't really see it that way. He was very positive about that. Seth, what's happening? Do you think it could be part of what's being called the Great Resignation? Americans leaving their jobs by the millions, 1 million in the leisure and hospitality sector alone?
Yeah, you know, Allison, here's where I'm really anxious to see what's going to happen in January. I think for a lot of Americans that have been out in the workforce, they use that January 1 date as the litmus test for how they might re-enter the workforce or even engage the workforce differently. And as we've continued to go through this pandemic and the possible shutdowns, and we had all of this labor talk of it's being a finder's market in the job market, and wages were going to get higher, and this is your great opportunity to move up the ladder. I think for a lot of Americans who had a lot of cash sitting on the sidelines, they said, you know, January 1 is the date that I'm going to really re-engage. That's at least my perception of things, and we'll wait to see if that pans out. But I think that's what's happening here.
Yeah, Dan, do you agree with what Seth's saying?
Well, yeah, I agree with the bigger picture here in terms of what's going to happen going forward. When we're looking at these numbers, remember, this is in the rearview mirror. So the big question is, where do we go from here? Now, when we look at how many people are leaving their jobs, 4.5 million last month. Where are they going? Are they quitting for better jobs, higher wages? Or are they saying, you know what, I have enough money for whatever the reason, and I'm now going to sit on the sideline? Now, are those people, if they are sitting on the sideline, going to get re-engaged in the job market and in the economy? So I agree with Seth. We really have to see what happens come January 1, or post-January 1, I should say.
Yeah, Dan, Seth was talking about, you know, people moving up the ladder, the Biden administration saying that that may be the case. But, I mean, what do you think? Because aren't some of these jobs the jobs that, you know, were left during COVID?
Well, yeah, definitely people leaving jobs during COVID. And you know, I was watching Larry Kudlow yesterday, who I respect a lot, and he was talking about these job numbers, and he was talking about how he thought they were positive, primarily around the unemployment rate being at 3.9%, lowest 3.5 under Trump, by the way. And I couldn't understand why he was seeing that as so positive when we missed by half where we should be, not of job creation, by the way, job recovery. So I'm a little lost as to how we're getting a positive spin on this. Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Hey, Allison, but Dan brings
ahead,
up a good point here, because I think that's a big part of this. How many economists and analysts are missing the mark every month? Nobody knows what's going on. We're all making wags and wild, you know what, guesses, right?
Yeah.
Because we really don't have a pulse on the American worker right now. Dan talked about the unemployment rate 3.9. That's what we call the U3 report. We're not talking about the U6 report. The U6 report is what we call the real unemployment report, and it takes into account those people who, quite frankly, just aren't even looking anymore. But it also takes into account those that are underemployed. So I think as we enter this new year, we really start trying to get a pulse on the overall economic situation, the job situation. We really need to get away from that U3 report, which is the official unemployment report, and start diving deeper into that U6.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is over 7% right now.
Wow. And Seth, you talk about like the fact businesses are suffering, right? So more workers in low-wage sectors are leaving their jobs. Companies are struggling to get workers. I mean, how do they even retain employees or even get employees? Because, I mean, nobody wants to work, and then even the low-wage workers are saying, forget it, I'm not doing this.
You know, we talk to small business employers all the time at GDP every day, and what we're hearing is We just don't know, guys. We're literally, owners are diving deep into their business. They're asking more of the fewer employees that they do have. They're offering higher wages. They're offering flex time. I've heard everything from, offering to cover your pet insurance. I mean, this is just, we're doing everything to try to get anybody to come to work, and it's still not working. And that's why I say I really am anxious to see what happens as we go into the January, the new year. I think a lot of Americans had budgeted how long they could last on this money and maybe enter the new year. At least that's my hope, and we certainly need it. These small businesses need it for sure.
Yeah. I mean, Dan, these small businesses, they struggle. I mean, before COVID, small businesses struggle, right? A lot of business owners I know pay their employees before they pay themselves. But COVID has changed so much. Many rethinking the whole work model. We're already seeing people now working remote, and we talked about this. What do you think? Do you think that this work life from home is going to stay, or do you think we'll eventually get back to work once this variant is over?
Well, to add to more of the confusion of this whole situation, let me just drop a couple numbers in for you here. 6.9 million Americans unemployed, 10.6 million job openings. So in my head, that should be unemployment at zero, although I know that's not possible. But that's what I'm thinking. We have more job openings than people looking for work. Doesn't match up. As far as small businesses and remote work and what's happening there, I was interviewing potential interns for my office this week. Amazingly, none of them were talking about, well, when do I come in the office? The entire conversation was built around what the remote work model is. So small businesses are going to continue to struggle in making it work with not having workers on site. And for some businesses, it's impossible, like restaurants.
You're right. Businesses have had to close. All right. Well, we're going to have to leave it there. Seth Denson, Dan Geltrude, thank you so much. We'll see you in the next half hour.